Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is my middle son Isaac. You guys have he's been on my channel before, but today I wanted to cover a topic. I had great questions in the comments, and 3 of them, and I wanted to cover each one in more detail. And these are the acute training variables, or some of the 3 are the acute training variables when we talk about resistance training program, and those are frequency, intensity, and volume. Today, I'm going to talk about frequency because it's a great question. How frequent should you exercise when it comes to strength training? How frequent should you train each muscle group? And when I say frequent, usually we talk about per week. So how many times per week should you exercise regarding strength training each muscle group? And so why are we concerned with each muscle group? Because when we strength train, we place muscle on those, or tension on those muscle fibers, and that creates damage, and then hopefully we increase in strength and muscle mass as an adaptation to resistance training. So the question of how frequent should you train? So that's a great question. And by the way, I had the same question about 10 years ago when I started my master's degree and I did my thesis, which was published, on frequency. And what I did was we had 2 groups. One group strength trained each muscle group 3 days per week, doing 3 sets per exercise on 3 occasions. So each muscle group did 9 total sets for the week, but it was split 3 ways. So essentially, they did total body training 3 days per week, 3 sets per exercise 3 days a week. That'd be 9 sets. That was the higher frequency group. So their frequency per each muscle group was strength trained 3 days per week. Okay, 9 total sets. So we could say the volume was 9 sets per muscle group. The other group was the lower frequency group. All right, and the lower frequency group did a split routine. The body was split 3 ways, so they were still strength training 3 days per week, but they did all 9 sets per muscle group on 1 occasion. So they didn't do total body training, they did a split routine. So they did pushing body part 1 day. So they did the pectoralis muscles, the shoulders, and the triceps. They did all 9 sets for all of those muscle groups on that 1 day per week. Okay, and then the next day they did a pulling movement for the upper body pulling structure. So pull-ups, rows, and curls. Again, 9 total sets for each muscle group. And then the 3rd day they did their lower body. Again, 9 sets for all major muscle groups. So at the end of the 8-week study, what did we find? Did we find, again, volume, and we're going to talk about volume later, volume was the same for the whole, or number of sets per muscle group were the same. The only variable that was altered, or we tried to control for anyway, within the training program was frequency. So 3 days per week versus 1 day per week. Okay, so the group that exercised 3 days per week did 3 active sets, 3 days a week, 9 total sets. The lower frequency group did 9 sets, split over a split routine 1 day per week. So 1 day per week frequency versus 3 days per week. At the end of the study, we really found with the DEXA scan, no significant differences between groups in changes in muscle mass or lean tissue mass changes. Okay, and these were, for the most part, moderately trained individuals. We did have men and women in that first study. And strength was similar. Changes in strength were very, very similar. Okay, so what is the results of that study? Well, with 9 total sets done per week, frequency really didn't matter. Okay, so then that got me thinking, well then if frequency, at least 3 versus 1, didn't matter, then what about volume? Okay, so then volume must be a driver for hypertrophy and strength. All right, and we will talk about that next time. Be sure to check the next video out. If you have questions, comments, leave them below. Subscribe, like my comments, my content, forward it to a friend. Talk to you soon.